Still Poddable in the playoffs.
Sam Packard.
Still Poddable in the playoffs.
Right.
Gotta get that ring in the playoffs. Still Poddable in the playoffs. Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics still Poddable. Still Poddable. Banner 18.
Playoffs beats the heat, you gotta know. Let's go Celtics, let's go. Yeah, motherfucking Celtics, let's go.
Welcome back to Still Poddable, the best Celtics podcast on the internet. This is the free edition hosted on the CLNS YouTube page. We are presented by Prize Picks and Game Time. If you want to save some money on those two products, download them. Use the promo code CLNS. Again, this is the free version if you want coverage for the rest of the NBA Finals from us, from me, Sam Jam Packard, Brian B. Robb of MassLive.com, and Jay King from The Athletic. Go to patreon.com/stillpoddable. We will have the best Celtics coverage for all of the finals. And so go there today. If
every day podcast, every game, we're coming. Packard's going to do a live show by himself right after games, and then we're going to come back later on with another show. So you get two shows on game nights.
And I'm going to Dallas, baby. You know what?
He's going to Dallas.
We're going to Dallas. This is going to be the best coverage of the finals ever. And fellas, our long national nightmare is over. By the time most people are listening to this, it will be the day of the NBA Finals. The week of takes will be done. The boredom of just the Celtics being the best team in basketball will be over, and just the glazing of the Dallas Mavericks will cease. And we'll actually have some basketball to talk about. But we still have more nonsense to get to, because today, you two fine fellas went to NBA Finals Media Day, and it looked like an absolute circus. You had Guillermo there making people drink. You had Jaden Springer not talking to anyone. It just looked like complete and total chaos. Jay, for the layman out there, what the hell's NBA Finals Media Day like?
So NBA Finals Media Day, you get there and you look around the media room, and it's everyone you've ever read a story from. Like, oh, there's David Aldridge. Oh, there's Sam Amick. Oh, there's like just every single person you could imagine.
Such a good company, man, and only naming two guys.
There's John Hollinger.
John Hollinger.
Oh, wow. Sham Sharani is there too.
Cato. Jared Weiss. We had a crew.
Suichi Tirada was there. Yeah.
So you look around and it's just like kind of wide-eyed from how many media members there are. And then you actually get to watch a little bit of practice today. Although the Celtics portion of practice that we watched was basically them just standing there waiting for us to leave. That was
but how did Chris Capps look when he was standing?
He was standing like 7'3" man stands.
Tall, skinny legs.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, he was drinking from a cup. I assume it was water, but maybe it was Gatorade. I don't know. Maybe it was even coffee. I'm not really sure.
With that many journalists there, no one tracked down the answer on that?
No. By that point, we weren't allowed to talk to him. That was after all the interviews. So that was unfortunate. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy. There are, I think, 3 or 4 players on each team that go to the podium. Each coach goes to the podium. Then there are other press conferences available for like the next tier of guys on the roster. And then the end of the roster guys are just available on the court to just go chat with.
Did I see a Javier Tillman podium game, or I just saw a Javier Tillman quote?
He was at the podium. O'Shea
Yeah,
Brissett was at the podium. Peyton Pritchard was at the podium. Guillermo was sitting down at a tea table with Drew Holiday and Derek White. It was just a weird time out there.
Pretty much, if you have a chance of playing a meaningful minute in the finals, you get a podium, like on the court to hold court. And then if you are JD Davidson or Jordan Walsh, you get to just hang on the sidelines and hope that someone comes talk to you.
Yeah, I did speak to Jordan Walsh.
That's where the best stories are. with those guys on these days.
Yeah. I had fun talking with Jordan Walsh.
What did Jordan have to say?
I hear you can do a windmill dunk without stretching.
You'll read about it on the
Tomorrow. I'm have to wait. What a tease! What a big market tease!
Not tomorrow.
Not giving away the good quotes, but folks, we are going to try and play a little best quotes from Celtics Media Day because Mazzulla talked, all the stars talked. They presumably said something interesting, and we're gonna bring you the most interesting things said at Media Day. Again, I was at the Red Sox game all day today, and not on Twitter, so I didn't see any of this. So I'm leaning on you, Jay and B-Rob, to tell me what I missed. B-Rob, I'll start with you. What do you think the most interesting thing to come out of Media Day was?
Well, clearly the main attraction on Media Day was Kyrie Irving, and he was at the podium. I mean, you know that he was getting hammered with the tough questions about his time in Boston, except that didn't happen today. Not at all. He came in. I think it was out of like behind schedule from his usual slot.
So it was weird. So PJ Washington came in when Kyrie was supposed to come in. And then I don't know what really happened with that. And then Kyrie sat down and
yeah.
Was there no Boston TV people there to ask the kind of abrasive questions? Where's Dan Shaughnessy when you need him? Where are you guys? You guys can't complain about the softball questions lobbed to Kyrie Irving if you guys were in the room and able to ask questions.
Well, we've already asked him that stuff like a million times. Like how many times? This is
but now he's cool.
Years ago now.
He's cool, calm, and collected. Kyrie.
He did answer some questions one of the questions was about playing his former brothers.
His words or the questioners?
And those were
questioners' words.
Questioners. And then he said that they've gotten tremendously better since they played with him, which might be his way of taking a subtle dig at how they were back then. Or maybe I'm just still reading his quotes in his character from back then, which was very divisive. He doesn't seem as divisive anymore. Everyone in Dallas swears that he's become a leader, which is, if true, salute to him for making personal progress. But he was not a good leader back then. And yeah, he also made a lucky joke as he got off the podium.
What was the joke?
It was so I honestly I stopped paying attention after the press conference, and and then he stepped off, and all I heard was like I think Lucky put it there, like
he stumbled a bit and like tripped on something and was like I think Lucky put it there.
I'm actually not even 100% sure what happened. I just know he made a Lucky joke after his press conference.
I did see a Mavericks reporter person film themselves stepping on Lucky, and then they got like so much heat from it that they had to delete their tweet. I don't know if that was like poor form because they realized that's not very becoming of a media member, or they just got yelled at so much, but I don't know. I thought that was a funny move. I mean,
that's a funny bit.
Yeah, you shouldn't have deleted it. You can't delete it.
Not the most professional media move, but funny.
It's something I would do, but not. I would send it to you guys. It was the host of the Locked On Mavericks. I just know it's like Nick Van Exel or something.
Nick Van Exit is
yeah. There you go, that guy.
Yeah, so shouts to him. I would have kept it up for him. Like you're not.
I was trying to think of something.
Impartial media member.
I was trying to think of something I could do to the Dirk statue in Dallas to get him back, but I don't have enough. Like I have no animosity towards the Mavericks organization right now. I'm sure I'll build it up immediately starting tomorrow, but at this point,
the first time you see Luka complain to the refs after what you deem a clear non-foul, you're gonna have so much hatred in your heart.
Yeah. Also, Mark Cuban is kind of annoying, and it's dumb that people think he should run for president, but he's also done a lot of cool stuff in making prescription drugs more affordable. So I don't know. I have no hatred in my heart for Dallas yet. I have hatred more for the NBA media for propping up Dallas than I do for Dallas. They haven't done anything to do this. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot up to win 100 times your cash. With Prize Picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 or 6 player stat projections, and you're locked in. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every single week, from lowering select stat projections on Tuesday, which increases your chances of getting that win, to getting your entries fee back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. The finals means more on Prize Picks, and so do the star players. You get boosted payouts on select basketball stars that you won't find anywhere else. There's always Prize Picks, and this is the perfect time to try out something new as basketball is winding down. You can try out the esports this month, because every Wednesday and Saturday in June, if your lineup doesn't win, you'll get your entry free back. Choose from Counter-Strike 2, Call of Duty, League of Legends, and more. I made my first $10 deposit and received an instant $10 bonus. So if you have the skills, you can play for a shot at turning your $10 into $1,000. Prize Picks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Join today. Use the promo code CLNS for your first deposit match up to $100. That is promo code CLNS. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
What's bothered you the most about the way people have looked at the Mavericks over the last 9 days?
The thing that's bothered me the most is that the playoffs have been like, the Nuggets beat the Lakers. The Nuggets are the team to beat. Everyone's celebrating the Nuggets. The Timberwolves beat the Nuggets. The Timberwolves are the team to beat. Anthony Edwards is Michael Jordan. It's the next best thing. The Mavericks beat the Timberwolves. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are the greatest backcourt of all time. And it's just like immediately, there's not learning any single sort of lessons from the last round. And all the stories are like, how are the Celtics going to stop these two guys? How are the Celtics going to slow down Kyrie and Luka? It's like the Mavericks, the Timberwolves have not a good offense, and Anthony Edwards was one singular star. The Thunder, J-Dub basically didn't play at all, and they had Josh Giddey who could actually like play off the court. There's just been no questions asked about like, have the Mavericks, how are they at all going to deal with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown? Oh, then also Derek White and Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. It's just like a weird yearning for something that's not the Celtics, because and this is the ultimate homer take, that the entire national media is against the Celtics. It's the ultimate they hate us because they ain't us. I didn't think I would be in there, but I think after doing this for a week, I'm fully there. To be honest, chat's pumping me up. Chat's fully on board with this take. But it just feels like there's such an eagerness to be like, let's find the next best thing that is not the Boston Celtics, when the Boston Celtics have been the best thing all year, and they should be celebrated as such.
Well, they got 4 more wins to prove it, baby.
Yeah, buddy.
4 more wins to prove it. But yeah, I agree. Some of it has just been weird. But not all of it.
It's not all weird, and it's not all like, it's like kind of, it's like you're going in the series, you're previewing it. Obviously, Luka Doncic is very good. Obviously, Kyrie Irving's very good. But it's just weird to hear like the hype for and PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. have been pretty solid in this playoffs. But to act like they're like there's some brilliant supporting cast, it just feels like it's so outrageous to me when the crazy wild supporting cast is on the Celtics side. Like their 5th best player in the starting lineup is what, Derek White, Drew Holiday? Like, that's insane. And there's a reason Derek Jones Jr. was a minimum player. There's a reason PJ Washington was available at the deadline. I'm not saying that they're going to do they're going to play terribly in the finals, but they're just to anoint them after one playoff run as like, they're this star-studded supporting cast, and Dallas has figured everything out. We've seen teams go to the finals before and not figure it out. and like not have it all the way. The Celtics in 2 years ago got to the finals and then just weren't like blowing up. It just feels like there's this Dallas is here and these two teams should be on equal footing. Doesn't make sense to me. It's just in terms of like the history of the NBA, it's always like teams work their way through the finals. They lose in the finals and they have to get over that hump. And a team rarely gets to the finals in their first try and it's just automatically successful. But then there's like this expectation that Dallas on its first run with this team is all of a sudden just going to be like, be able to get to the finals and everything will be hunky dory for them. It just, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
The craziest piece to me has been people saying, I saw someone today, I don't even know who it was. I saw it on Twitter. It was one of the famous TV analysts. I think one of the former players, probably for ESPN. And they said if Kyrie was on the Celtics, there'd be a discussion about who was their best player.
Was it Isaiah Thomas? Was it past friend Isaiah Thomas? He said something ridiculous about Kyrie.
Like, no, there wouldn't be. Jason Tatum has proven, not just this year, but like for years now, that he's a more complete player, a more consistent player, a better player than Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie can do magical stuff. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he can't, but there's a lot of evidence. 3 first-team All-NBA appearances in a row for Jason Tatum, while Kyrie has never made All-NBA, I think, at all in that stretch. And it's just, there's just weird conversations going on and weird. Kyrie's star is bigger than his impact. Like, people are just forgetting that he had 9 points twice, I think, in the Thunder series.
He averaged 16 points a game in the Thunder series. Like, that's, Jalen has averaged more than 20 points a game throughout the entire playoffs. It's just a weird, even just the discussion of anointing Kyrie over Jalen at this point doesn't make sense to me.
He just has the star power, though. It's like people just are drawn to that, wherever he is in his career. And we saw that to a degree in Boston, over just like the curiosity of him during that period here, where anything he said, people were all over it half the time because it just didn't make sense. But now people with the star power and the fact, I think people just love a comeback story in general. And that's pretty much what he is this season after, last year, essentially, demanding a trade, threatening to leave the Mavs unless he got a max contract, and literally having no market for him out there because he was so toxic at that point. So he just came back to the Mavs, and now they've figured it out for 3 rounds. It's good for them that they've done it, but this could all change in a hurry when you're facing a juggernaut Celtics team.
And I feel like he gets credit for winning a title, which, like, he was there on that title run, but he was also playing next to peak of his powers, LeBron James. Kevin Love was also on that team, a highly effective I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of LeBron. Like, obviously Kyrie was great in game 6 and 7. Like, LeBron and him had both scored 40. He had the shot in game 7. Not going to act like Kyrie Irving's not an amazing scorer, an amazing shot maker, but like, how much credit are we giving? Now I feel like I'm a talking head asshole. I'm trying to take credit away from him.
No.
All I'm trying to say is LeBron James is very good, and I think that Cavs team is probably better than this Mavericks team. And Kyrie plays a larger role on this team than he did on that Cavs team because he was playing with LeBron.
That's not true. He averaged like 40 in that one finals. He was ridiculous that year.
Yeah,
he will not be playing that large role. And if
I think he's going to need to. I mean, if Kyrie Irving averages 40 per game, I think that would be bad news bears for the Celtics. I'm just saying, playing next to LeBron James, who does absolutely everything, is quite helpful, whereas Luka Doncic does not play as much defense. That's my basic point. I don't know where I'm going. You guys got me rallied up.
On Luka.
Let's get back to quotes. Let's get back to the original point of this podcast.
Jason Kidd had a great quote on Luka, which was, he's shown that he can play defense, and he's also shown that he takes rests on defense from time to time. it was just great. Like just back to back, I'm supporting my guy, and then I'm ethering my guy, and I just enjoyed that because it is pretty true. And his whole answer was really, really praising Luka and the mentality he brings and how he's not afraid to fail and how he brought them to the finals, yada, yada, yada. But that part was classic. The better classic ones were from Joe Mazzulla. He had a couple of just all-time Joe Mazzulla quotes. He's putting together a Hall of Fame of just outrageously corny quotes.
I got a text today from a friend like, is he doing a bit? Like, is he serious?
So I'm going to read the quotes. Someone asked about, they're so close to the finish of the journey. How are you kind of taking it all in? Are you trying to enjoy this? And he said, I would say this is not the end of the journey. The journey is for however long you're alive. That's partly true, but they were clearly talking about just this one season.
Yeah, if the question was just framed like, what about the season? He couldn't answer, like, parry it away with that kind of nonsense, fake deep.
Yeah. And then the other one was, he was asked about the bright lights of the finals, and he said, unless they change the light bulbs in the arena, they won't be any brighter than they were the last series.
That's just like, it's a classic Mazzulla thing of like, let's focus in on the actual verbiage and the what the question is saying, instead of just being like, hey Joe, a little bit more pressure this round, how's your team gonna react? It's just like, no, it's all verbal judo or verbal jujitsu.
It really is. And I truly don't know if he's doing a bit. Like, I don't know if he kind of means these things, or if he gets off the podium and goes back to Jason Tatum, is like, haha, see that? See what I just said?
Got him.
I made some stupid joke about light bulbs. But
there was that I forgot about that 2-game period where they're all trying to sneak different phrases into their quotes in the post-game press conference. So I would not put it past Joe Mazzulla to do it. It's also interesting because it's so many media members who are not used to kind of Joe Mazzulla at this point. So I feel like he developed some sort of comfort with the Boston media where he would like be more his authentic self. But now
the light bulbs have changed.
No, they have not. They have not changed. Did you listen to the quote at all? They're the exact same light bulbs. It'd be funny if they installed some new finals light bulbs and it was a little bit brighter in the arena.
They probably will have the fire thing that they bring out for some big games.
They've had the fire thing for every single home game this year, Jay.
Really?
They had 2 fire clovers that they would do before every single game.
I must be truly locked in.
You don't pay attention at all during pregame.
I'm entirely locked in.
What do you guys do during the intros, the intro video?
I'm usually in the back, still just getting ready. I usually just come out like right, as starting lineups are done.
Yeah,
I'm usually setting up, like getting the box score ready, getting
and at no point has the large streams of fire caught the corner of your eye. At no point.
You see it one time, you see it 1,000 times, Packard. Come on.
It used to be for special events, and now they do it for every single game.
I thought it was still, yeah. That just stunned me when you said that right there.
Everything. That's awesome.
They got up their game.
The NBA Finals are here, and I can't think of a better time to try and go see the Celtics in action. And if you want to go to the game, go to GameTime.co or download the Game Time app with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Game Time is a fantastic app and the perfect way for you to get into the NBA Finals, or if you just want to see a concert in Boston, you want to go to the Sox game. There are so many fun events in and around the city this summer, and Game Time is the way to get into the arena. I used Game Time to go see Dan Soder, one of my favorite comedians, at the Wilbur a couple of months ago. It was a fantastic way to get into the arena. They have last-minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, all-in pricing, and it allows you to see the total up front with no surprise fees at checkouts. You can see the view from your seat, and they have the lowest price guarantee. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Did the Celtics players say anything interesting at media day? I thought. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, Pat, because me and Jay talked about Porzingis a lot yesterday, and so he obviously was questioned today. How are you feeling at this point? Are you feeling well enough to play and contribute? Porzingis, I think, big man quote: "It's tough to say. I haven't played for a while. Tomorrow will be my first real minutes in a while. I did as much as I could to prepare for this moment. There's nothing like game minutes and game experience I'm going to get tomorrow. It will be tough to jump into the finals like this. I did everything I could, and we'll see tomorrow night." So, Packard, the question for you after me and Jay posed these options yesterday is like, is he playing coy, or is it a situation where after a game or two, it's just going to be like, he's going to try, but it's just not there yet? Like, what do you feel like he's feeling in his head?
My inclination is to say I don't know, but the last time I said I don't know about this, Joshua B ripped me in the comments for not giving a strong enough take and for not being a confident medical diagnosis.
Is even weaker to say that you're letting him shape your opinion is even weaker than just having no opinion.
I think Kristaps is fine. I think you guys made a big deal about his pregnant pause. I think he's being coy.
It wasn't just that; it was everything he said.
Yeah, it was everything. It was the whole tone of the press conference.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. The tone of the press conference. Like there's nothing on the official injury report. It's not like he's questionable. It's not like he's probable. He's going to go. I do think there's going to be an adjustment period of just like you haven't played in a month and now you're coming back for the intensity of the finals. But
I think part of it too is he's just kind of matter of fact, and he's not going to like just.
He's not going to promise and be like, I'm going to be out there and be perfect. Like
he's not going to just pull out bravado just to do it. Like when he was asked before the season, are you going to be more ready for the playoffs now? And he's like, I don't know.
I sure hope so. I'm going to do the work. Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see, guys. And at the time I don't think I'd ever spoken to him before. If I had, it was like with random Knicks writers or Mavericks writers at some point. But I didn't really know what he was all about at that time. And I was just in my head, I was like, that one's interesting. Let's kind of circle back here and see what happens. So I think part of it might just be that he's matter of fact, and he truly doesn't know how that calf will respond when he's in a finals game. He doesn't know how he'll respond to a finals game because he's never been in it. And he's right. It is going to be really tough to be parachuted into an NBA finals game when you've never played beyond the first round, when you've been out since I forget the date, but game 3 of the Miami series.
They made it very easy for us to remember. It's been exactly 36 days since he got hurt.
So yeah, it's going to be difficult. And I think part of it is just he states things kind of as they are instead of shaping himself to be better. He tells kind of the truth. We got Josh. We got Josh here.
Ooh, the legend, Joshua B. Set us straight, Josh.
He's had 36 days. I work for United Health Group. This is like literally what I do for a living.
You're a doctor? You're a calf doctor for United
Health
Group?
You're a fully strained specialist?
My entire job is to read medical documentation from sports therapists, from physical therapists, from occupational therapists, for doctors. He's had 36 days of continuous care with the Boston Celtics. I understand that, like, maybe he's not going to come in right now and set the world on fire. But if Wick Grossbeck literally came down from the stands and was like, look, can you get this guy ready in 36 days? And the sports therapist staff, the doctors of the world said, no, I think he needs extra time. The entire staff would be fired. How much more do you need for like, what do you expect doctors to do? If you have any kind of normal expectations of medical professionals, and you give them 36 days, and you give the player 36 days off. Now, his shot might be off. His stamina might not be there. He may not be able to go, 25, 40 minutes. That kind of thing. The conditioning part is on
25 to 40.
Yeah, well, I mean, I give you a big range, right?
If he gives them 25 minutes, that'll be impressive.
Yeah, like if he goes 20 minutes and his conditioning's not all the way there, that's an athlete problem. But the idea that like he's still feeling the effects of the injury or he can't walk from like a non-contact injury, why the hell's he traveling with the team to Indiana? What's the whole point if he's not ready? If he's not ready,
why is Woj tweeting that he's ready for Game 4?
Yeah, the whole thing is gamesmanship by Mazzulla, which just goes to show you how far he's come as a coach, right? The mere fact that he's doing this now.
Hold on, this is our
Joshua B. You're a genius and a saint.
Dr. B take right here. Dr. B has not just proclaimed that Kristaps is going to be perfectly healthy, but also has proclaimed that it shows the genius of Joe Mazzulla. This is why he's a legend.
I mean, I'm not as big a legend as the person who went on the Basketball Buds and said that Al Horford is going to drain 9 threes in a closeout game, Game 5. That was absolute genius, and that was absolutely deserved, which, by the way, might happen. I actually came on here to say that all these people who believe that Luka is so much better than Jason Tatum, Jam, you were right on that I was yelling at the Poddable group when you said that. It's like the difference between 3 and 4, right? Like whether you want to say that Luka is the 3rd best player or whether you want to say Tatum is the 4th best player, wherever you're at there, this idea that like there's not a full court, right? That there isn't a defensive side. All we got to do is look at the offense, and that's the way we're going to judge a player. It's crazy talk. You can't. The moment that you look at the entire court, the difference between the two of them becomes so much more minuscule, and the stats back it up. What did Luka average? Did I see 32 points compared to Jason Tatum's 30? Is that what I'm seeing? Like
Tatum averaged about 28, I believe,
for the whole playoffs. 28.
No, he's at 25 or 26 for the playoffs.
25, 20.
He wasn't great in the Miami series. He only averaged like 22.
Yeah, if only we had like the largest point differential in a first round series ever during that series.
Yeah, that'd be tough if we did have that.
I guess my
Dr.
final.
B.
I only really have one serious question for you guys, but and it comes down to something like this. As somebody who has grown up with Daniel Gafford being the Washington Wizards, person that I am, why doesn't anybody remember that Jason Tatum was plus 50 in the last game that he played against Daniel Gafford? Like, does that just not register when people?
Because Jordan Poole was also on the court.
Yeah, it's a little bit different between Jordan Poole and Denny Avdija, and I like Denny Avdija compared to
Kuzma
and Kyrie Irving.
That's fair, but how different is Denny Avdija from, say, I don't know, PJ Washington?
Denny Avdija is good. He's the only Wizard worth a damn.
Celtics in 5. You're spot on, Jay. Like your prediction is dead right. They lose game 2. They win the other 4, and they win it in the Boston. They win it in Boston, and everybody is cured of all of their angst. And before I leave, I just want to say that you need to, like, if you haven't enjoyed the run, if you haven't enjoyed the 76 games as opposed to the angst of the 20, that's really sad. And I hope you buy the Sports Illustrated video or DVD or whatever they're making that allows you to relive all of that so that you can sort of fix that problem. Josh B out. Love you guys. Can't wait to hear.
Dr. B, love you too.
Tip of the cap. Tip of the cap to you, sir. What a legend. Wow.
What a hero.
Fantastic stuff.
He spun it so well.
He's a lawyer. He's got lawyer in him. He's got, every single argument is like immediately comes back to his original point. I kind of agree with him about the Kristaps stuff. Kristaps could have an up or down series, and I don't necessarily think it's going to become because of the calf. Like, remember the game where Jalen called him out, was like he wasn't good enough on defense, and like we're going to need him. I feel like that's more of an issue of like him not rising to the level of the intensity, and it has nothing to do with the calf. That's just Kristaps.
That's part of the drawback of him missing this whole playoff run to date, is that he hasn't gotten to experience close games in the playoffs. He hasn't gotten to experience like a series
bringing it every single night.
Indiana was a sweep, but like they were put to the backs against the wall in 3 of those 4 games. He hasn't gotten to experience that. He hasn't gotten to experience, and maybe the 3 series where easy enough that he wouldn't have. But there's just a different intensity to playoff basketball. And as you get deeper and deeper, it just gets not just intense physically, but like you have to be more detailed. Your approach just has to be different. Like every day you have to treat differently. And that's all the stuff that I think could come back to hurt him after he missed so much time. It's not just the fact that his calf might not be 100%, but what's his stamina going to be like? How long is it going to take for him to adjust to, the true playoff intensity, a finals game where that arena might be unlike anything he's ever heard in his entire NBA life? It might be truly like the craziest environment he's played in while in the NBA.
Okay, but here's the thing that's frustrating to me. I hear that and all of that is true, but we have not heard any discussion of like no one on the Mavericks has been to a finals except for Kyrie Irving. And so like the Celtics 2 years ago got to the finals and were not like ready for the moment, and like the intensity is different. No one's gone through this entire long postseason. Getting to the finals is one thing, but winning in the finals is the other thing. But there's been no question of like, I don't know, is Derek Lively Jr. going to be ready for the NBA finals intensity? Like none of these, is Derek Jones Jr. like ready for, I don't know. It just feels like that isn't asked of anyone. It's just like assumed that the Mavericks will be here and are fine. That was my inspiration from Joshua B, and taking your point and completely pivoting to a new point to hopefully further my argument.
Dr. B.
What did the Celtics say today that was interesting other than Joe Mazzulla's bad jokes? I think you had a Jason Tatum quote before.
B-Rob, was that you or was that me? Did I say
B-Rob, you were on mute for some reason.
B-Rob's still on mute.
I'm back. Sorry. I have a Jalen. I've got a Jalen quote ready.
All right, let's do it.
He was talking about, I think he had a lot of good stuff. He talked about Kyrie, talked about, the scrutiny that he's under. And that was the one that we'll get to, I think, with Jay in a minute with Tatum in terms of being one of the most scrutinized players in the league. But what stood out to me a lot was just Jalen talking about the journey with this group. And it was his kind of slant off question. And he responded, I think this is a special group. I really do. The core of this has been here for a few years now. We've been able to go through experiences of having success, but not having success at the same time. I think to solidify the ultimate goal is to get over the hump and win. I think that will add a lot to our legacy. But as of right now, that story is still kind of untold. And so I think just like the perspective he has there of knowing it is absurd just how many times they've been to the East Finals, 6 and 8 years, and then how many times they've been on the doorstep when we've been saying time after time, like, this is their best opportunity. That's right there for them. They may never get back here. And now not only are they there, but they are the heavy favorites, something they haven't been before. And now they have the perspective of maybe learning from these mistakes. And I think that has hit home with him during this playoff run, and the way the team has played throughout this playoff run. I think it's kind of been, universal around this whole group.
One of the most interesting things I thought was Jalen. He was asked whether he'd rewatched the finals games from 2022. And he said, yeah, but he also brought up, he's like, I watched last year's Eastern Conference Finals too. And I feel like more than anything, like it wasn't the Warriors series that stuck with Jalen. And I think for a lot of the guys, probably Tatum, the one difference, because he was not good in that series. And I think he left that very disappointed in the way he played, thought he needed to be better. But like for a lot of those guys, they played in that series in 2022 against a dynasty. You come away from that, you're an upstart, you were 11th place midway through the season, you make it to the finals, you lose to Steph Curry, you lose to a dynasty, you lose to a bunch of Hall of Famers, and you can just kind of look in the mirror and say, you know what? We ran into a tough team. We're still on the right path. They couldn't say that anymore after last year's Eastern Conference Finals. They played an 8 seed. They fell behind 3-0. Game 3 was an absolute debacle. They got beat at home twice to begin the series. They lost Game 7 by 20 at home. And
they should have lost Game 6, Jay. Like, they should have lost Game 6 of that series.
Could have easily lost Game 6. But, like, you leave that one, and it's like, okay, we need to fix stuff. This can't be how we go. We're not on that trajectory anymore. This is not where we're supposed to be. And Jalen, especially the way he played in that series, the way he played in that game 7 after Tatum got hurt, that really drove him. And we've seen it all year. He's a different player. He's more locked in. He's in better shape. And he was in great shape to begin with. His IQ, he spent so much time on that. And sometimes he'll still over penetrate, but it's just his awareness is just on a totally different level. And I think because they're back in the finals, everyone wants to be like, well, what did they learn from the finals? I think for a lot of the guys on this team, a lot of the guys, Joe Mazzulla, I'm sure, like it was last year that was really the kick in the ass that kind of led to this season. And I think especially for Jalen, that's the truth.
One thing I just love Jalen's approach. I feels like this entire season, whether it's just not like after what was it, game 2 against the Pacers, where after he didn't get all NBA, and they won, and he was very good, and he just kind of seemed pissed off. I think it was in the all in version from the Eastern Conference Finals where he said like there's been people who've believed in me and there's like been a lot of people who've doubted me and I don't get the respect, and like those people can kiss my ass. And I saw a bunch of people being like, oh, you just signed the biggest contract in NBA history and you were just named Eastern Conference like Finals MVP. Like, what is he talking about? You need to be an insane person if you're going to be an athlete. And you like, and
no, I don't even think it's insane.
I don't think it's insane. I think he's
signed
also
that contract.
Everyone
was saying they might have to trade him one day. They might have to get
that
rid
was
of
the
that
first
contract.
reaction was that like they signed his contract. It's a terrible contract. They're going to have to.
It may not be a terrible contract, but it's a potential problem at the very least. It wasn't like, oh wow, they signed Jaylen Brown. This is great for them. Like they got him for another 5 years. This is fantastic. Huge score. It was very much not that reaction at all. So like yeah, other guys got money too. Like when Timothy Mozgov got paid and when Evan Turner got paid like $70 million, like that doesn't come with respect all the time. A lot of the times that comes with scorn. It comes with questions. And I think in Jalen's case, that came with questions and people look down at him. So I don't think it's insane of him to think I haven't been respected. I think that's pretty normal. And I think those questions were actually fair about him. I think he's come a long way since then. I think even in the last year, he's improved a lot, but I can see like where he's coming from. I don't think that's insane at all.
Maybe insane was the wrong, I guess, word choice, but I think like in order to be a great athlete, you need to take slights, whether real or imaginary, and turn them into motivation to make you work harder, to make you be in the gym, and to make you like want to vanquish your opponents. Everyone loves Michael Jordan for like criticizing his JV high school coach for cutting him when it turns out that just didn't happen, or like just making up individual stories to drive him. I want my superstar athlete to be driven by slights, to be angry at the world for not giving him enough respect. And I feel like Jaylen Brown, the thing you can give him the most amount of credit for, and the thing that I think he deserves the most amount of respect for, is he's gotten better every single year he's been in the league. And it's been a noticeable, just steady incline in terms of what he can do. And if it's slights that are driving him, if it's like being drafted and being told he's too smart, or if it's anything that is just driving him to get better, I'm all for that. And so I just like that his approach is like, we need a championship. The goal the entire time is going to be in championship. People have doubted us and we're going to prove them wrong. And I just like his mentality. It feels like he's been maybe the emotional leader of the team. Maybe him, you give Al Horford a lot of credit there as well. Obviously, jumping around in game 2 against Cleveland, but like with Marcus Smart gone, it feels like Jaylen has stepped up as like, take the reins. I'm the guy who's like going to be like, make sure this team is locked in and focused. And I've just like loved his entire approach throughout the season and especially in this playoffs.
Yeah. And I never thought he would become the leader of the team. I think he's always played with some leadership qualities. He's always had a fire about him. Whenever things are going wrong for them, it often seemed like Jalen was one of them to like step up his intensity, get them going again. But vocally, the way he's done it this year, like, I never saw this coming. I did not think that he'd be the guy going around to everybody before game 3 against Cleveland. Like, we need to bring the defense tonight. That's what it's all about tonight. We need to lock in, get your defense ready, whatever he was saying. I didn't see this happening. And so Celtics have been blessed with two stars who really do listen to coaching, who really do work on their games, and who have always been about the right things, just didn't always know how to play the right way on the basketball court. And it took them a while, I think, to get there basketball-wise. But we'll see if this is the right time now for them to break through against a guy, Luka, who typically does play the right way, typically does find a way to maximize possessions. It's going to be fun, man. I'm fired up.
What do you think about, I guess, Jason Tatum? Because Jason Tatum, I don't see as the same kind of like Jordan-esque Jaylen Brown style of like just hatred in his heart. Like, he's so cool, calm, and collected. And maybe that's just his very much like public persona, because he's been kind of crafted to be this very cool guy. But Jason Tatum has been here for a week hearing pundits like myself say that Luka Doncic is clearly better than him. And so I just don't know how Jason Tatum necessarily is like reacts to that. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be interesting to see. He comes out where obviously he has a lot of pride in himself. He's the guy who works on his game. And we've talked a lot about like defining success. I don't think he gets enough credit for like, yes, the Celtics have a great team, but Jason Tatum taking a step back and deferring has allowed this team to blossom. How does he react to being like told he's the second best player in this series? Does he try to score more? Does he try to make his impact on the series? Or is he just continuing to be cool, calm Jason Tatum, make the right play? Because I kind of think it's the latter, where he's just like, he's not going to go out of his way to try and score 30. He's continuing going to make the right play. And I kind of like the balance of like Tatum being the most talented guy, making sure that they play team basketball, and Jalen kind of being the fuck you guy. It's a classic fire and ice scenario. And I don't know, I guess Tatum's ice and Jalen is fire.
It's funny. I was on Chris Broussard's radio show the other night, and he asked me, is there a chance that Tatum like listens to all this and comes out and just tries to prove that he's better than Luka, and that he's better than Jalen even? And
no, and I think that's a good thing.
I think at one point of his career, I think that would have been a realistic fear, that he would have gone out of his way to silence the people doubting him, to silence the people who have questioned him throughout this playoff run, the Zach Lowe's of the world who put him 6 to 8 in his rankings, whatever. But I think the most important piece for this team the whole year is that every player, not just Tatum, is beyond that. And they've been able to suppress that and just want to win. It hasn't been ever about individual stats. You can think back to the game against Brooklyn, which was a nothing game. In the span of the season, it was an absolutely nothing game. Tatum scored 31 points in the first half, and it was the week when everyone was getting 60, 70, and he could have gunned for a huge number. It might have even been more than 31. He could have gunned for a huge number. Instead, he comes out, they double him on the first possession, he throws it over to Drew Holiday, and he scored like 8 or 10 points in the second half and never gunned for a number, never cared about that. And after the game, he said kind of like, yeah, like it's not about that right now. I'm not going to like play bad basketball just because the other people are scoring points, just because there was a chance to get a lot of points. It's like, I'm going to just make the right play. And I thought that moment, as weird as it sounds, him not gunning for a huge number in that game was indicative of his mindset and really the whole team's mindset this year. So I don't think that's a fear at all. I don't think he's still in that space where he is going to play like he cares. I'm sure he cares. I'm sure he listens to it and it bothers him to some extent and it motivates him to some extent. But as far as letting that dictate the way he approaches game one or any other game of this series, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and from a team-wide perspective, Jay, that's been like, how many times last season did Tatum, Jaylen Brown, guys just go back in the game to pad their stats in the fourth quarter, and Joe Mazzulla, giving the green light on that? That just all year long, rest became the priority. Like, win the game, get off the floor, win the game by whatever means it is now. But heading into the series now of Tatum, even though he's showing himself capable of making the right play against this Mavericks team, he's due to go nuts. Like, he has, like, offensively, these are the matchups where he toyed with them in the regular season here. And depending
Who guards him?
That's the thing. Like, who does guard him? Like Derek Jones Jr., PJ Washington. We've seen what Tatum can do against PJ Washington in about 3 years of Hornets games where he routinely would be flirting with 50 points here. And Mavericks obviously can take it away. They can throw double teams there.
The Mavericks have a slightly different
scheme there.
Their defense around.
Yes, PJ. But still, like, as far as wings to throw at the Celtics here, like, that is their weak spot. And along with having Luka and Kyrie on the floor too as targets there. So that is, if the Mavs want to make sure he doesn't get 35 a game, they can do that. But that's going to open door in a lot of other places. And I don't know, based on how he's shot this postseason, I'm very curious to see how Jason Kidd and them come out in game one, and whether Tatum is ready to pounce on it if they're just going to play him one-on-one and live with it.
But that's the beauty of this Celtics team, is that they have been so good on offense this year, where if you play Jason Tatum one-on-one against a lesser opponent, they're going to take advantage. If you send 2 to Jason Tatum, he has made the correct pass this entire season, and sending 2 to anyone in the Celtics offense results in open 3-point shots for the Celtics. And I think the thing that Tatum doesn't get credit for, and it's weird because, like, we have so much history of basketball stuff. Bill Simmons wrote a whole book about this. It's all like Pat Riley talked about, and it's all like Bill Walton, RIP, is talking about, like, the disease of me and, like, not finding the right team basketball. The Celtics have been so dominant this year because they have played team basketball, and because Jason Tatum's he's been willing to share the basketball. That's all we've been talking about this entire year. Defining success in different ways. We don't need to define success by the fucking counting stats or knocking down a game-winning 3-pointer off of the big fucking French Rudy Gobert. They've been playing team basketball the entire time, and, like, it feels like the entire build up to the finals has been talking about basketball as if it's a one-on-one sport. It is a team game, and the Celtics have the best team. And Jason Tatum taking a step back and allowing that team to flourish has been the major reason for the Celtics' success. And that feels like that gets zero credit because he hasn't put up enough counting stats, or he hasn't had, like, a defining step back jumper. It's just ridiculous. It's like there's been no credit given to the top 5 players, top 6 players on the Celtics coming together, playing amazing defense, like top 5 defense, top 5 offense, going through all the trials and tribulations of the past 2 seasons to get there, to fail against the Heat. All we talk about is success in basketball is like, oh, these brilliant teams, like, oh, this one, the Bulls had to get through the Pistons had to get through the Celtics in the 80s. Like, you have to go through these troubles to finally make it. The Celtics have done that, gone through these struggles. And it's like, nope, they've run into a better individual scorer. And then Kyrie Irving's also there. He can dribble real fancy. So who knows what's going to happen? It's stupid. It's frankly stupid. Celtics in 5. Let's go.
We should just end the pod right there. I think that would have just been.
They've got Packard fired up.
They got me so fired up that my prediction going into this podcast was Celtics in 6, but I after that rant, I couldn't say that. I'm going to go Celtics in 5. Do we want to predict every game in the series like we always do?
Let's do it.
Game 1.
Celtics win.
Win. I agree. Game 2.
Celtics win.
Celtics lose on a Luka Doncic buzzer beater. Pandemonium takes for days. Game 3.
Celtics lose.
Celtics win. So we all have it at 2-1 at this point. Game 4.
Celtics win.
Win.
Tatum's going to go bonkers in game 4. He's going to have 43 points and 12 rebounds and 8 assists.
Damn. So B-Rob, you have it at 2-2. Jay, you have it 3-1. I have it 3-1. Game 5 back in Boston.
Jalen closes it out. Jalen has a huge game to close it out. And he just goes at Kyrie time after time, just treats him like Tyrese Halliburton, and just has a lovely time beating Kyrie. And then Joe grabs Kyrie by the neck
and puts his face in
Lucky and pushes his face into Lucky and steps on Kyrie's face and makes him kiss Lucky.
Is it a judo move?
Jiu-jitsu? Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu?
That's how it's going to end. That's how it's destined to end. Right there.
B-Rob, I don't know how you're going to follow that, but what do you think it happens in pivotal game 5?
I have a game 5. I have a win with no violence at midcourt. Unlucky.
I think the Celtics lose, and again, there's all these worries. I think they lose by like 15 because they're just like up 3-1. Yeah, because for some reason they're just not good at home. And then I have them going back to Dallas, not losing a road playoff game the entire postseason, 3-0 in Dallas, and they just close it out in 6.
They haven't lost at home since Jaylen Brown said they were going to figure out their home issues.
Yeah, but they're playing. Game 1 against the Pacers wasn't a great effort.
Yeah, I think they're 3-0 since then.
Yeah, 3-0. That's right. They lost the second game at home.
B-Rob, what do you think happens in game 6?
Game 6, another win, and I think Drew Holiday's the hero. I think he follows up in terms of maybe limiting Kyrie and hitting a bunch of threes to play hero like he did at the end of game 4.
You guys want a bold take? You want a bold take? Derek White's going to do something cool this series. No one has brought up Derek White in any of their finals previews. They forget he exists. Very talented basketball player. Can do a lot of things pretty important for the Celtics offense. Just saying it.
It's true. It's true. Packard's been fired up. He's been listening to too much nonsense over the past 9 days. Now we got our bar question. I've also been studying for the bar. I picked out a bar question for you guys to help me with. This is from the criminal procedure section. It's a Fourth Amendment question. You guys both know the Fourth Amendment. While on patrol one night, 2 officers noticed the car of a known drug dealer in the drive-through lane of a fast food restaurant. Based on prior discussions with confidential informants, the officers had probable cause to believe that the drug dealer had drugs in his vehicle since he regularly made drug deliveries from the trunk of his car. Noticing that the drug dealer's headlight was out, the officers pulled him over once he left the restaurant and searched his car. The officers did not find any evidence of drugs, but they did find several illegal weapons in the trunk. The question is, and it's a multiple choice question, so I'll give you the 4 answers. It was an illegal search in the first place.
Did the officer's seizure of the weapons violate the drug dealer's Fourth Amendment rights? A, yes, because the drug dealer could not access the trunk from his passenger compartment. B, yes, because the officers were searching for drugs, not weapons. C, yes, because the stop was pretextual in nature. D, no, as a valid application of the automobile exception to the warrant requirement.
C.
I'm going D.
No, it was C.
Jay, you are wrong. Pretextual stops are absolutely allowed in the Constitution. U.S. v. Wren, Justice Scalia writing a real bullshit opinion on that one.
What does pretextual mean?
Pretextual means is like you're stopping someone for something other than what you're actually like stopping them for. So stopping him in this case for the headlight when you're really looking to search him for drugs. The Supreme Court said police are absolutely allowed to do that if you don't make use of.
Well, honestly, I have a problem with our country.
Yeah, no, it was a bullshit opinion when it was written. It was wrong when it was written. The big question is whether or not the trunk was locked. Now, we don't have that type of information. If the trunk was locked, there's no reason why they should be able to get into the trunk. If the trunk is wide open, and you guys should know this from listening to 99 Problems by Jay-Z, really anything in a car is fair game. The automobile exception to the Fourth Amendment allows the police to basically search anything in your vehicle unless it is in locked compartment. B-Rob, you are right.
Let's go.
The answer is D. Jay, I'll give you some credit because the policy question, as a matter of policy, you are correct. Pretextual stops are bullshit.
The spirit of what it should be, I was correct.
Yes. I mean, if we go back to 1770s and the Writs of Assistance Act, I think we'll notice that the spirit of the Fourth Amendment is that agents of the state should not be able to trawl your stuff without a warrant, not based on trumped up probable cause and pretextual bullshit about what's going on with your headlight. So, Jay, I give you credit as well. Full credit to the entire Still Poddable crew for both the correct constitutional answer from B-Rob and the right policy answer from Jay King.
This is why you're going to pass the bar, Packard, because you get this kind of get both sides of the coin here.
Oh yeah, I'll just channel both of you guys while I'm taking the bar.
Like, know what the way it should be, and then know what the bullshit way it is in the Constitution.
Yes.
Or how it's been interpreted.
That's what you guys get from us. You get some basketball talk. You get me some fired up. You get Joshua B coming in with his medical expertise. You have the collective legal expertise. That's what separates Still Poddable from every other Boston Celtics podcast, every other NBA podcast, every other general interest podcast. And we're going to give you phenomenal finals coverage. Like Jay said, I'm going to be going live on YouTube right after every single game and try to get as many comments from you guys as possible. We'll follow that up with another full pod after every single game, pods throughout the entire finals. If you want more Still Poddable, go to patreon.com/stillpoddable. Subscribe today. Become a kid. You should really become a god or a legend so you get every single piece of content. We really appreciate it. Join the chat. The chat's going to be popping off. The chat's been the one that's been firing me up. So if you want to talk basketball with a bunch of other Celtics fans who have much more hatred in their heart for the Mavericks, join the Still Poddable family, join the chat. It's going to be a lot of fun. We really appreciate everyone listening, and we'll be back tomorrow when we finally have NBA basketball to talk about. I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow with more Still Poddable.
Still Poddable, the Boston Celtics, Still Poddable.